Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, the topic of our discussion is Rajinder Singh Bedi's Lajwanti. So, before going towards Lajwanti or the short story Lajwanti, we are going to have a brief introduction of Rajinder Singh Bedi. So, Rajinder Singh Bedi is a name which is a matter of great pride in the word in Urdu language. A truly unique and matchless personality he was, and he is one of the four pillars of modern Urdu fiction. He was born on September 1, 1915, in Lahore. You are supposed to write it or note it down. He was born on September 1, 1915, in Lahore. He was the son of Hira Singh, who was the postmaster of Sadar Bazar Post Office, Lahore. He just received his early education at school in Lahore Cantonment, where he passed the fourth class. And then, after matriculation, he went to the college. And by the time he reached intermediate, his mother, who was a TB patient, had died. His mother was a TB patient, girls, noted down. And after his mother's death, his father resigned from his job, and Bedi left his college and joined the post office. He later on joined the post office. Okay, so his salary was 46 per month, or 46 per month of that time period. And he was married when he was just at the age of 19. He got married. You can note it down as well, and because this sort of the things can come in the form of MCQs in your paper. So he just started writing from the time of Khalsa College, and during his post office job, he also wrote for radio. He just wrote some of the writings for the radio. Okay, then there are some of the in films he has also done some of the work. Bedi has been a short story writer, dialogue writer, screenwriter, director, and producer. And some of the films which he was an integral part of include, there are some of the films he has worked for them. So this were the scene. Okay, now we are going to move towards the story Lajwanti. You guys, I think we have already discussed some of the things regarding that, what particular story. Uh, these are the stories, a story that we have read before, Sadat Hassan Manto's The New Constitution, and we came to know about of after writing, or after what reading that story, we came to know about the circumstances, the conditions that were prevailing in that period of time when India and Pakistan, they were getting separated. So what were those things, and what were the situations that were the people they were facing, and how they were suffering, and what were the things that became very much difficult for them to cope with. So this is the story Lajwanti. It is also from them, and how the people or the girls. It is the story, girls, which is about how a woman of that period of time, he were facing the things, and they were the women in that period of time, they were like kidnapped, and when they were coming back to their families, they were not accepting them. They were considering them dirty, and that sort of the thing. Okay, these are the things, as you know, that according to our society, according to our circumstances, in the context of Pakistan, if a girl is kidnapped and she is coming back to home, the people, they are not going to consider them. They are not wanting them to get back or to become again the member of the family. So this was the story. So Lajwanti is Punjabi for touch me not. You guys know that touch me not is a plant, or a flower that shuts its leaves upon human contact. If you touch them, it becomes closed. So it is also the title of Rajinder Singh Bedi's Urdu story, which is about Sundar Lal and his reunion with his abducted wife. Abducted wife, her wife was kidnapped. Okay, in that situation, and who is also called Lajwanti. Now, this was also the name, although this is the name for Touch Me Not plant, but over here it is the name of the character. The name of Rajinder Sundar Lal. Sundar Lal is the character, and she is Lajwanti is her wife. Okay, so before she was kidnapped, like thousands of other women, amid the violence surrounding in 1947 partition of Pakistan and India. Lajwanti was full of energy, full of vitality. She was energetic and physically strong, and which strengthens her husband Sundar Lal, tested regularly, beating her over every little quarrel. Now Sundar Lal was in habit of beating his wife regularly. So one day she's kidnapped. Now Lajwanti is kidnapped. Sundar Lal, distraught over her loss, deeply regrets the way he treated his wife. Now he is feeling very sad that why he was in the habit of beating her. Why did he do that and all? Each day he takes to the streets and rallies for the humane treatment of once kidnapped wives who, you know what, after being rescued and returned to their families, find themselves shunned, find themselves in a misery sort of the thing. Now he is protesting. He is trying to make people aware that if their wives are abducted, if their wives are kidnapped, when they come back to their house they should treat them well, because at the loss of her wife he is very much sad, he is very much distressed over this situation, and he has made up his mind that when he will get his wife back, he is going to treat her well, not in the way he used to once. Now he has made up her mind, so he is trying to make other people aware as well that why don't do that. Your wives has come back to the house, then once again give them that status, give them that position, that you know what, uh, the way they should be treated. Okay, so he was of that thing. So, knowing that they had likely experienced a man's touch on the other side of the border, the people were considering it. They were not wanting to get them back into their houses. They were in the view, of course, as you know, that what is happening in our society, what happens in our society if a girl is kidnapped and she has come back to the house. The people, or the even the members of the house, even the members of the family, they are not going to treat her the way she should be treated, because they consider when she once if a girl is kidnapped, it means the other person has touched her, and now she is dirty, she is not clean, she is not religious now, and all these things. You know that in the context of Pakistan, this is the same thing. This is written in the same scenario when India and Pakistan, they were getting separated. So Sundar Lal, on the other hand, is so distraught at the thought of his beloved kidnapped wife that he swears to himself that not only will he accept her, but he will also treat her better than he ever did in past. He has made up her mind. He has made up his mind that he is not going to do the same. He is not going to do what other people are doing with their wives. Even he has determined himself that he will consider his wife, he will accept her wife and treat her well, and at the same time he is making other people aware, and he is trying to make other people aware that do not do that, this is wrong. Then finally Sundar Lal discovers that his Lajwanti is back. When he first sees her, he dismayed that she looks healthier and a little plumper than she did when she lived with him. Why? Now the thing is, because he used to treat her very unwell, so might be this was the reason. And he had expected her to be weak. He was expecting that when my you know what, my wife, when she will come back, um, she will be very weak, and she will be like, but the conditions or the circumstances were very much opposite to what he was expecting. So but he remains true to the rhetoric, as he has been preaching all over the village, and he takes Lajwanti home. He takes back he takes her home, and he calls her Devi. He then calls her goddess Devi. You know what? समझते हैं आप? Goddess, okay? And promises never to beat her again. He promises to himself that I'm not going to beat her again. So she is overwhelmed with joy. She is very much happy now. Lajwanti is very much happy. But as the time passes, she, even as her husband remains, you know what, obliviously content to have the queen of his heart back, Lajwanti is increasingly disturbed. Why? Sundarlal won't let her talk about what has happened. Now, although Sundarlal, he is treating her wife in a very good way, in a very good manner, but at the same time, he has you know what, let her think, let her determine that you are not going to discuss whatever has happened with you when you were not with me, when you were kidnapped. You are not going to discuss this thing. But this thing is disturbing Lajwanti. That why, I mean, if there is a person, there is a girl who was kidnapped, and now her husband is not wanting her to discuss, to tell her whatever has happened to her. This is very painful sort of situation, because she wants to tell everything to him, she wants to tell everything to the other people, and if she tells other people what has happened to her, then she will feel relaxed. And now this thing, this sort of the chance is not given to her. We all of us, we want that if somebody, if something is you know what, stressing us, if something is like making us pain, or anything like something is making us disturbed, we want to share the things with other people in order to make ourselves calm. But this opportunity is not given to Lajwanti. She wants to share the things, but she is not allowed to. Now she is feeling that although she has become the goddess of her husband's heart, but still she's not happy. She's not happy that why is she stopped to share the things and all. Now, and more like the delicate flower that is her namesake, so fragile, she's so fragile that even her husband won't get close to the real her. So this story is fiction, you know that, fiction, a fantasy, a fairy tale, but this is not a fairy tale, this is a fiction. Kahani hai, this is a tale, but it is written at the scenario which was historically real. Okay, it was genuine. Might be the characters are fictional, but there were the circumstances at that period of time, at the time period of a partition of India and Pakistan. The circumstances were like that. This is the reason that why we always say that if we want to, or if a person wants to know the history of something, he should go to study the literature instead of studying the history. Because uh, literature of any context is more genuine, and literature is clearly declaring the circumstances that were prevailing in that period of time. Okay, this is the same case the way I just shared with you the Tales of Two Cities. It is a novel that was written in the with the background of French Revolution. Okay, so after reading The Tale of Two Cities, we come to know how the circumstances were prevailing during the French Revolution, and how were the circumstances, how the people are coping with that situation, and how the people just, you know what, did a lot of things to get out of the situation, to get rid of the situation. So this is the thing, that literature is the true depiction of whatever was happening at that period of time. Same is the case the way we have read the new constitution by Mantu. We just came to know about this situation, and after reading this Lajwanti, we just, in the new constitution, we came to know how the people there, they were treated, and how, and they were denied to their you know what, their human rights. This was the theme of the story, the new constitution. Now we just read the story Lajwanti, and we came to know that how the women of that period of time, how the situation was very much critical for the women, and how they were coping with that situation, and how even the men, they were suffering. Of course, they are their wives are kidnapped, and they are very much in the painful sort of situation. So the story is fiction, but many of its elements are universal, of course, and real. So the abduction of women, the cultural pressure to reject them if and when they return. It was culturally accepted that you are not going to accept your wife when she is coming back. No, you are not going to do that. And if you do it, you are not going to be counted as a part of the society. So this was the pressure given by the society, and the women's own inability to express their trauma. And the women at that period of time, even if they are returned to the home, even if they have become the part of the family again, but still they are they are deprived of expressing their trauma. Okay, these things affected many people in the post partition environment of India and Pakistan, especially in the border state of Punjab where Lajwanti takes place. So this was the story all about. I think now you have a very clear idea about the story Lajwanti. um, if you want to ask something, you guys can. Is there anything that you have not gotten, girls? Is there anything you are not getting? Please, you may unmute your mic and ask me anything if you want to. No issue. Okay, then let's talk about the question that can be asked from this story. At first, for example, you can be asked to relate this story, Lajwanti, with the partition sort of scenario, partition of India and Pakistan in 1947. And you are just going to analyze the way I have analyzed the story, that the women of that period of time, they were not allowed to share. First of all, they were not allowed to come back to their houses. They were not accepted. But there were some of the people like Sundarlal, they were struggling so hard in order to remove this inequality. And he was promoting this idea that we should accept our daughters and our wives back if they come back, if they return. And other than that, uh, even if they have come back, but still they were not allowed to share or to share their feelings or to share whatever they have suffered when they were abducted, when they were kidnapped. So all of these things were very much painful. This is the thing, that women of that period of time, at first, how were they suffering? That at once, or after before the what like abduction, Lajwanti, she was not happy with her husband. Why? Because he was not treating her well. He used to beat her every day. What was the, I'm just talking about what was the, for example, the Rajinder Singh Bedi has represented the wife of or the women of that period of time in a very clear way. So what you are going to write it in that question is, yes, because before abduction he was suffering, he was being beaten by her husband. And when she was abducted, when she was kidnapped, after that also she was suffering because of the people outside who has done something wrong to her. Okay, this was another misery for her. Okay, when she has come back, now this is again the time of trial for her, whether she would be accepted by the members of the family or not. Okay, even if she is accepted, at first we think, even if there were some of the women who were not at all accepted by the members of their family. And even, for example, if they are uh, if they are not accepted by their if they are accepted, even if they are accepted, then they are not allowed to share anything or to talk about anything that they have suffered. So this was another phenomena, this was another problem for the people of that period of time. So all of these things were what, were were making the women of that period of time very distressful, very like disappointed, very much in pain. So this was the scenario all about. I think now you have got, now I am just going to share with you because in the next lecture we are going to study another short story, which is by Ismat Chugtai, The Roots, Jade, okay, she has written, and we are just going to read this story in the next class. But before going towards that, I'm just going to share with you the introduction of Ismat Chugtai. Ismail Chugtai is one of the best short story writers and one among the first few feminist writers of Urdu literature. Remember that, girls. She was the first few feminist writers. Feminist writers, now you are going to get the idea of feminist kya hota hai. Feminist is she is no, she or feminist, a person can a male can also be a feminist. Feminist is the person who is struggling so hard, who is of the view that the women have equal rights to men, the way the men are getting. So this is the whole, in a few lines, if I'm explaining कि क्या होता है feminist. So feminist is someone who is in favor of equal human rights given to the female, the way the rights given to the men. So she was among them. Ismat Chugtai is considered the trendsetter in Urdu short story, and she touched new topics which were considered taboo. When taboo, if just let me explain this to you. Taboo is something that cannot be uh, discussed, that should not be discussed in public, or जो कि समझा जाता है कि ऐसी बात नहीं करनी, ये बात अच्छी नहीं है, तो इस तरह की चीज, दिस इज समथिंग लाइक फेमिनिस्ट. सो तो इस तरह के जो टॉपिक्स है ना टैबू, इस बारे में जैसे बात नहीं करनी. लेट मी गिव यू एन एग्जांपल. टैबू में अगर आप चले जाए, जैसे प्रेगनेंसी की बात हम अप्रेंटली नहीं कर सकते इन पब्लिक, और फॉर एग्जांपल पीरियड्स की बात नहीं कर सकते. दिस इज समथिंग लाइक टैबू. सो when Urdu short story was in its infancy and its scope of topics was very much limited, but Ismat wrote on diverse topics and the issues. He wrote on lower and lower middle class. Girls, please note it down. She was writing on the taboo topic. She was writing for the women. She was the feminist, and she was writing on the middle class, or on the lower, rather on the lower middle class. Okay. So after that, and on the issues of women which were considered a taboo during her time for a women writer, but she didn't budge before anyone and chose a different path for her, very different from the other women of her time. She was very much different from the other women of that time. Women, especially the middle class Muslim women, she was writing on that. And Muslim women is one of the important topic of her short stories. And Ismat brought out the issues of women in her short stories very artistically and with rare depth and eloquence. She was just writing about them. She was just writing to make people aware. You know what? Why literature is written in the context of like historically, whatever the circumstances were, in order to depict the situations, in order to depict the circumstances, in order to make people aware that these are the things that are going on in our society. And there was a time when the stories were written like fictional stories, the fantasies, the fairy tales, the imaginative stories. But then there came a, you know what, a wave of writing on realism, on the real issues, on the issues that were prevailed in the society. And there was also not the trend of writing the on writing the women, and to write the things, or the stories, the literature, to, you know what, when you don't have something to raise your voice. If you cannot raise your voice, you can use your pen to write something, to make people aware what is going on in the society. So this is some raising the voice by using the pen is also another thing that can be done. Okay. So Chuktai saw and knew about the issues and problems of women of her era, and took keen interest in highlighting these through her short stories. She laments, she was very sad about the plight of women and of being her without education, because you know that the women were not given education. She wants to see women free from any male bondage and suppression. Ismat, Ismat Chugtai, she was the one who was writing the things, who were writing the literature in order to make women wake up and struggle for their own selves. Okay. So she wants to see women free from any male bondage, because in our society, or if we talk about our scenario, in our social setting, if a girl or if a woman is without her man, it means that she cannot survive. This is the thing that is promoted, because this is the male dominated society now. This is male chauvinism, the patriarchal society. Please write this term, these terms: patriarchal society. This is something like, patriarchal society means male dominated society. okay, जहाँ पे males की domination होती है, where men are considered superior than women, and they had the right to say everything or anything they want to say or they want to ask from the women. So this is the, and women, they are always supposed to obey. And it is said to our females, it is said to our women, नहीं आप मेल के बगैर तो कुछ भी नहीं है, if you don't बाहर नहीं जाना मेल के बगैर, okay, these are the things, okay, but ऐसा कहना कि मेल्स को ही सारी फैसिलिटीज मिलें, फीमेल्स को ना मिलें और इस तरह की, तो दीज आर द थिंग्स दैट आर नॉट गुड. एंड शी वाज द वन हु वर राइटिंग द थिंग्स, who were writing feminist literature in order to make women aware, and the other people also. A male can also be a feminist. Any male who is in the favor of equal human rights, equal women rights to the in the society, he is also a feminist. Okay, so she wants to see women free from any male bondage and suppression. Through her short stories, Ismat wants to awake the reader about the plight of women. The women we see in the stories of Ismat Chuktai's short stories don't want to be machines, but to be human. And they want to proclaim this humanity and strive for their rights by breaking age old myths, the old myths that are associated with women. Okay, women can't do this, women can't do that. She cannot take stand for her own self. She cannot go out for education. She cannot do this. She cannot do that. She is just supposed to work at the household level, and she is just always considered to obey the males. Or she is just supposed to accept the male domination. She is not in the favor of them. She was the one who was taking help from the pen to raise her voice against all this violence, all this inequality prevailed in the society. So, but to be human, and they want to be proclaim this humanity and strive for their rights by breaking age all myths and obstacles due or surrounding them. So she wants to break the male orthodoxy in society and subjugation of women. And the this is the thing that we are always supposed to obey them. She wanted to remove it. The women characters of Ismat Chugtai are different as compared to female characters depicted in earlier Urdu short stories. वो जैसे अफसाने वगैरह या कुछ लिखा जाता था ना, where the women is always associated with beauty, and she is just involved in her household tasks, and जैसे हम लोग अपनी उर्दू की short stories में पढ़ा करते थे. तो she was the one who wrote something very much different with the other writers, because she was in the favor of equal rights given to the females, and she was of the view that every girl, every woman should take stand for her own self, and should be educated. And in the story, the roots, which will be discussed in the next class, um, the character of Amma, or the character of a woman, was very much like this, the way we have discussed, and the way she was like rebellion sort of a person. It is not something like teaching you to rebel against this. This is something like, at least you should be able to take stand for your own self. At least you should do that. So this is the main thing that that is expressed through her writings, and that was promoting the idea that you are the one who can do anything for your own self. And if if the male domination is something like depriving you from the rights given to you, then you should something like do something to get out of the situation. So this was the whole thing. Girls, if you want to ask some question, you guys may ask. Feel free to ask me anything. If you guys didn't got anything, didn't get anything regarding any topic or anything, like we have discussed the biography or the person of Ismat Chugtai and Rajinder Singh Bedi, and we have discussed the story Lajwanti in this session. So please do ask me the questions if you want to.